pulls me out of the car. He stands me up and he says, "What did you just say?" And I said, "I'm not going to play with them." Bam! He hits me dead square in the chest. Okay? He hits me. Full strength. Bam! He hits me. Down I go on the ground. I can't breathe. My brother's crying because he thinks I'm getting ready to die. Okay? My dad standing there over me and he says, "I don't ever want to hear you say that again. Ever." I realized he was serious. We ended up going over and playing with the kids, but it taught me a lesson. It taught me a very valuable lesson. Be open to other people. Mm-hmm. Don't just look at them and assume that you don't want to be around them or they're going to do something bad. Be open to being around other people. And from that day forward, I never, ever, ever had unconscious bias or stereotypical behavior ever in my entire life. If I saw someone that didn't look like me, I made a conscious effort to go over and shake their hand and meet them and talk to them and find out. Peter Drucker could tell you what was going on in the world at any stage of any era. Like, let's say you picked a year, 1472. You picked the country. Let's say it was Afghanistan, okay? And you pick, and you ask, okay, so what was going on in year 72 in Afghanistan, right? He could tell you what was happening at that point in time and how what happened at that time impacted where we are right now. He was just an incredible mind. I couldn't. Okay.
Hello everyone, I'm recording this video because I want to interview more people around me and share some really good conversation to help everybody around here. Yes, and today I'm glad I can invite our CGO alumni. His name is Clark Rucker.
Dr. Clark Rucker.
Dr. Clark Rucker.
Yes. Mr. Zhang, it's my pleasure to be here. Okay, I just want you to know I'm very much appreciative of the opportunity to have a conversation. Are we in camera? I hope we're in camera. But yes, very much my pleasure to have a conversation. We've had some good dialogue already about things that we believe in cultural differences, country to country differences, your background, where you grew up, my background. We haven't really discussed that much yet, but that's part of the reason why we're having this interview. But we've talked a little bit about some values, I think, how you define success, what defines successful, and it's really been good conversation thus far. So let's dig in.
Sure.
Would you like me to start with the questions, and do you want to start at any particular one, or how do you want to start?
So first, could you introduce who you are?
Sure. So I'm Dr. Clark Rucker, and the only reason I use the word doctor is because 2 years ago, actually it's last year now, think about it, Cal Poly Pomona bestowed an honorary doctorate upon me. So, and it was all due to, partially due to my engagement with the students, working as a mentor, working as a supporter of the school and the students in the school. The school saw some of the things that I've been doing. In fact, I'll just kind of give you the big picture. In 2017, Cal Poly Pomona gave me a distinguished alumni. They made me a distinguished alumni for the College of Engineering because of my work. Then in 2019, they put me in the Hall of Fame for the College of Engineering. So if you were ever on campus at Cal Poly, in the aerospace building, they have big photos, in the engineering building, they have big photos of all of the Hall of Fame inductees. And they're basically people that have made an impact on the school. Some people have done donations, large donations of money to the school. Others, like myself, have done donations as well as worked with students to help the students get better in achieving their career goals. So they put me in the Hall of Fame, and then, like I said, in 2023, they gave me an honorary doctorate. Let's see, background. I was a director of quality for Phantom Works, which is a classified division of the Boeing defense and space side of the company. So I never worked on commercial airplanes. Don't ask me about 737s or 777s, why doors are falling off or wheels are falling. I don't know. I can't answer any of those questions. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I worked on defense and space side and did that for 33 years. Started at McDonnell Douglas and then it became Boeing. Before that, I worked for Northrop Grumman on the B-2 program, and I did that for 5 years. And then before Northrop Grumman, 5 years at General Dynamics. I worked on Sparrow AIM-7F missile system, and I worked on the Phalanx weapon system. So those were my programs. Why did I get into aerospace? When I was a little boy, between the ages of like 5 and 10, I had a passion for technology. I didn't know it at the time, but I always liked to take things apart just to see how they work. So like lamps, radios, stuff like that. I would take them apart. Sometimes I could put them back together. Sometimes I couldn't. Sometimes my mom would get really mad at me because I couldn't put them back together. But the good news was it showed my fascination for technology. I was a hands-on learner. So if I took a radio apart and I looked at the inside of a transistor radio and I saw resistors and transistors and diodes and cathodes and this, that, and the other one. Cathodes are TVs. But anyway, if I saw those kind of things, I always wondered, how does that make a radio receive a signal and then broadcast someone's voice to me? I always wondered about that. And so that was my start of my fascination with technology. When I would watch television and I would see jets take off, I always wondered, how can something that big and that heavy get off the ground? I couldn't understand that. The dynamics of thrust and all of that, I had no concept because I was a little guy. Helicopters, right? How does a helicopter get off the ground? It was fascinating, very fascinating to me. One day in my senior year of high school, as I was getting ready to graduate, my physics teacher walks up to me, and he says, "Hey Clark, you'd be a good engineer." I said, "Really? A good engineer? Why?" And he says, "Well, you're good at math, you're good at science, physics, you have those kind of good principles, and I can see that you have a passion for wanting to learn how things work." And I said, yeah, you're right. He says, "Why don't you go take the engineering aptitude test and see how you score?" Now, I didn't know what that was, but I researched it and found out that there's a test that they can give, and they don't do it anymore, but they used to do this where they test your aptitude skills in the areas of engineering and engineering disciplines. I took the test. I scored very high on that test. And as I came out and was getting ready to graduate from high school, I applied to 4 colleges: Caltech, MIT, Cal Poly SLO, and Cal Poly Pomona. I got accepted at all 4 schools. The reason why I chose Cal Poly Pomona was 2. One, I'm a hands-on learner. I don't like sitting in a classroom reading a book. I want to learn by doing. Right, so Cal Poly Pomona offered that. And the other reason was Pomona is the closest school to where I lived in San Diego. And I had a girlfriend in San Diego and I didn't want to be too far from her. So that's how I ended up being an engineer. After 43 years in the industry, I retired 2 years ago. And here I am.
That is awesome. I still remember you. The first day I see you at CGU, you was talking at the Alumni Association, the event Ignite the Light.
Ignite the Light.
You gave a really powerful speech, and you said you are willing to help every single one of us to be successful. And I asked you for your business card, and I sent you an email, and you really replied me an email. It's such a detailed email with. It's like a resume handbook. And it feels like you are really different. You have a lot of traits that other people doesn't have.
I don't know.
You are really pay attention to details, and you take other people seriously.
Very seriously, yes.
Yes, and also you are really passionate, curious of what you study or you want to do.
Yes.
And you have passion to help others.
Yes. Yes. So it's funny you say that, Mr. Zhang, because my experiences when I'm talking to students, I do a lot of lectures at Cal Poly, and you've heard me speak here.
Yes.
When I get into it, about trying to convey the message that everyone should be passionate about what they're doing, if they want to feel good about getting up in the morning, you should have passion for what you do. And that's a message that I always try to convey when I'm talking, doing a lecture at Cal Poly, or I'm out here in the quad or at the Dacones area talking to students. I want you guys to feel my passion for wanting to help you. And I want you to feel passionate about wanting to do something that's going to make you feel good. It's kind of like the conversation we had a minute ago. How do you define success? You know, and you defined it pretty well for me from the culture that you grew up in. Success to many of the folks in that culture is defined by how much money you make, or how much impact you make on the world, or how big a celebrity you become, etc., etc., etc. Is that fairly true? Or
Yes, I believe in China right now, our expectation is really high.
mm-hmm.
For a normal man, he have to take care of all the responsibilities to just be a man. And to be successful is even way much higher.
Wow, I got to say, I understand, okay, because that's cultural. I understand. It's tradition and it's culture. However, I was taught different, and maybe my dad was, kind of different in that regard. My parents taught me that success comes from within. It's driven by who you are, by what you are, by your personal expectations of yourself and of others around you. And you cannot allow someone else to define how successful you are. You can't let someone else set your goals or your expectations of what you're going to achieve. You can't let other people influence the direction you go so much that you limit yourself. You can't do that, because then you're not being fair to yourself. And I think that when you don't do that and you allow yourself to be and express who you are and what you want to be, achieve all of the goals that you want to achieve, do the things that you want to do to help others, or even if you want, if you want to be a successful big old movie star, or if you want to be a whatever, okay, fine. As long as you feel inside yourself that you have been successful and you've accomplished your goals and your mission, I feel that's what defines success. So, for me, Clark Rucker, if I can, and people ask me this, students, everybody, people that know me ask me this question all the time. Clark, why are you so passionate about working with students? Because I can see it, I can feel it. You're just like, you want to help them, you want to, make them successful and get them to where they want to go. Why are you that way? And my answer is very simple. When I see or hear a student that has done whatever they wanted to, I met them in high school or I met them in college, and they graduated and they got a job and they're working where they want to work, at the company that they want to work for or the industry they want to work in, and they come back to me and they say, Mr. Rucker, thank you for your help. You didn't do the work, and they realized that they did the work, but thank you because you encouraged me to go in that direction and go do those things and be successful and get and accomplish my goals and accomplish my missions. And they thank you. They thank me for that. And when that happens, every time I get that email, every time I see that student, every time I'm walking around campus and I see a student that I have talked to and they tell me something like that, boom, 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 my heart starts pumping. I feel great. To me, that's success.
Wonderful. And I believe the reason why I started doing this, because this is exactly what I want to do. I feel more success when I really be able to help others. And let's move on.
Okay, let's get into the questions. Okay, so I'm going to start with the first ones that you sent me. You want to read them or you want me to read them?
Sure, I can read the question.
Okay. It's right there.
I'm really curious about you. How is your experience at Boeing as a senior manager?
Okay, so we're going to talk about Boeing. Let me just tell you, by the way, are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me just tell you that During the years that I worked for McDonnell Douglas, which became Boeing, I enjoyed my time. I pretty much did the same thing at Boeing that I do now.
Really?
Even though, well, I mean, yeah, I worked on programs, but what I did there was I helped others. I help others learn how to be a better quality engineer. I help people learn how to be a better mechanical engineer. I help managers learn how to be better leaders, because I spent a lot of time talking to my employees and other employees about what they do and how they do what they do. You said a minute ago that I'm a very detail-oriented person. I cross all the T's and I dot all the I's. And I was taught that by my family. My mom and dad taught me that when I was young. And so as I evolved at the company as a senior manager, well, let's see, I started as a reliability engineer, worked on space station program. From there, I became the manager of reliability engineering for that team on the mechanical side. From there, was given the opportunity to apply for my boss's job because he was retiring. So I became the senior manager of reliability and maintainability. And then another manager of system safety retired, so I became senior manager of reliability, maintainability, and system safety. And I did that for about 3 years maybe. And a lady comes to my office one day, knocks on my door, and she says, "Hey Clark, we want you to go back and get your master's degree." And I said, "Really?" She says, "Yeah." I said, "Well, back to school. I mean, I got a lot of things going on in my life right now. I don't know if I want to go back to school." She said, No, you're already in the program. We just want to know what school you're going to go to." So I said, "Oh, okay." I researched all the various different schools, opportunities to go back and get my master's, and I chose Claremont Graduate University because of the Peter Drucker program. I read up on Peter and his management philosophy and his style of management and leadership, and I said, that's the guy I want to learn from. That's the guy I want to go to school with. So that's why I chose CGU. And I ended up, and I know this answers another question later on, but I ended up taking classes from Peter. So I actually took classes with Peter during my time here in 1995, 1996, and learned so much, about being a good leader and what it takes to be a good leader. How to help people feel like they can do more than what they think they can do. How to make people believe that there's a goal out there, there's a mission out there. We as a team can accomplish that mission. We owe it to the people around us, we owe it to our company, we owe it to our community, we owe it to society to do the best that we possibly can do.
Wow. Thank you for sharing this. You are really focused on the people.
Mhm.
Just like Peter Drucker's philosophy, focus on the people. A lot of great companies, they started this way. They want to make things that benefit other people and really focus on not only just earning money, but also provide a great service, great quality, provide exactly what people want and they might not even know they want. But I know, so I do this for them. And this will provide better tools to them to make them be a better person. That's really meaningful.
It's provision of value, and this is one of the things that I talk to students about. What they need to know after they graduate. After you graduate, you went through 4 years of undergrad, and you went through 2 years of a master's program, and maybe a few years of PhD program, and you're in a company and you're working. And what does the company expect of you? And the answer is they want to see your value contribution. They want to see what can you contribute that's of value. And what I always said to my employees, my team, I don't care what, Bob, Adam, Harry, whatever the other team is doing or the managers are doing. We know what the customer wants, and we're going to provide them value.
That is awesome. So you also answered a lot of my questions already. Like, how did you come to CGU? How's your experience as an engineer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And could you share us more about your experience at the Peter Drucker Institute and how you interact with him?
Yeah. So there's a couple of guys that I went to school with here at CGU. Michael Millar, who's Dr. Michael Millar. I want to mention him because he was the guy that actually brought me back to CGU after all the years that I had been away. And I'll tell you how that happened. But getting back to Peter Drucker, Dr. Millar and I took classes from Peter directly. And his experiences with Peter were different from my experiences with Peter. Primarily because he was with Peter in his later years when his health was starting to fail. So Michael used to drive him to and from school and back to home, and he used to do that kind of stuff basically to help Peter. But they became very close in their relationship. My relationship with Peter Drucker was more of a mentor tutoring kind of relationship, because as a young manager, growing up in the aerospace industry, and there weren't a lot of aerospace people going to school here when I was going to school. I was probably maybe one of two or three. So I would share, in class when we'd have discussions what was going on at work and, in the aerospace industry, and Peter would ask like those hard questions, like, questions like, so what do you feel your impact and your team's impact is with respect to the world? And it's like,
Like,
the
hold
world?
on. Yeah. I'm here, just going to do this job.
Yeah.
And how am I going to fulfill the duties to the entire world?
The world, right, right. And I have to think, I had to process that. And then I realized what he was asking. The question was, okay, I'm going to make, my team is going to provide a quality product. It might be a F-15 jet, it might be an F-16 jet, it might be a whatever, a satellite system, an GPS satellite that we all use for our phones. But my team is going to help make that. And then sooner or later, like the defense products that we make, they're defending our country. And they're also defending other countries. And if the product is a quality product, that means it's going to work when it's supposed to work. So an iGPS satellite that we now use for our maps and all that stuff on our phones, if those things didn't work, we wouldn't have the technology that we have. So in essence, what he was saying is, you got to realize that everything you touch, everything that you do, everything that you think, everything that you have your hands involved in, or ideas that you share in a meeting, or words that come out of your mouth, affects the world around you in some way, shape, or form. And I didn't realize that at the time. But once he said it, I realized, wow, I got to do the right thing all the time. I have to be on point all the time. Because if I'm not, the world's going to be impacted. Simple things like that makes you think.
That's amazing. Think about once you have this product, and then it might shape the future who use the product.
Yes. Think of the warfighter who's out there, fighting the battle, and he's on the front line, facing the bad guys, and he calls for, airstrike, and the jets can't fly. That's not a good thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, that just it sunk home with me and there were a lot of different instances, a lot of different things that Peter taught us. I'm looking over there as a classic Drucker book. In fact, there's a whole bunch of Drucker books that are sitting there, and I'm saying, I have that book, I have that book, I have that book. Peter Drucker was an incredible individual. I'll tell you a story about Peter. I don't know if you can keep this or not, but I'll tell you a story. Peter Drucker could tell you what was going on in the world at any stage of any era. Like let's say you picked a year, 1472. You picked the country. Let's say it was Afghanistan. Okay, and you picked and you asked, okay, so what was going on in 72 in Afghanistan, right? He could tell you. He could tell you what was happening at that point in time and how what happened at that time impacted where we are right now. He was just an incredible mind. I couldn't.
You can gather those information and do the forecast. And
Yes.
Really understand it.
Yes. Connecting the dots of all the things in all the countries in the world over history and how they impact decisions that are being made right now. He could do that.
That's incredible. Because right now in the age of computers, everybody have the information.
They have access.
Explode.
Yeah.
So many information. In the past, it's not so. You cannot have those information. A
No.
lot of things it's hard to hear. You know, you can only read from news or recording or telephone.
Yeah. This is 1995 I'm talking now. Okay? 1995. He could do that. He could tell you that. No matter where it was in the world, no matter what year it was, he could tell you what was going on. Just incredible brain.
It's like he can have those information happening in the world and know how they interact with other. And
Yes.
wow.
Yeah. I have more questions. You want to ask some of these?
Sure.
Go.
And what are something you know but other people does not?
Oh yeah, we got to that question, huh? Something that I know that other people don't. There are people in this world that impact us in many different ways, and there was a man that gave me a set of quotes that I want you to take a look at. And the first quote, Hobbes, help others be successful. When I saw that quote, I learned and I gravitated toward it immediately because I understand what he was telling me. By the way, these came from Rick Martin, who was chief engineer for Phantom Works at Boeing, who retired just prior to me, and he said, you know, Clark, if you continue to help others be successful, you will feel successful. I was like, really? Yeah? Okay, I can see what you're saying now. And it goes back to what I said a minute ago. If I see that student doing the things that they wanted to do, accomplish the things that they want, I do feel, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel successful.
Same to me.
So that's just like one of the things that I learned from Rick. But when I learned these things from Rick, it also made me think about how I can have a larger impact on others if I take it one step further. For example, I gave you a page, 2-page, 3-page response on a resume because you sent me a resume. And I gave you a response on how I thought a hiring manager and a hiring company wanted to see your resume formatted. I gave you that. Well, I said, what if I also told you that if you want to be successful, once the resume is good and they want to bring you in for the interview, what if I also told you how to be successful during the interview? How you can study the questions that they're going to ask you, and you could come up with questions to ask them that are going to make them remember you.
You did something similar to my father. In the past, I realized why my father can be admired by other people is he always take one extra step.
Take an extra step, yeah.
And you do much more, much more than one extra step.
So let's take it a step further.
Yes.
Let's say that you're successful in the interview and you get the job. I have charts. Let me show you. I got the job. What's next? All the tips that a person needs on how to be successful once they're in the job. And I'm going to give this to you because I want you to know that these 2 pages, this page and the next page, you could apply right here at Claremont. These are all things that you, if you do, you will be successful. And again, successful as determined by what you want to accomplish, not what other people think, what you want to accomplish. You will be successful. The listen, listen, listen bullet. When people talk, and you're doing a really good job, you're recording, on video to share with others. That's what it's all about. Listen to people because they have experiences they're going to share with you. What are they saying? What's the message behind what they're saying? What are they trying to share with you that, hey, that makes sense. I get it. So, you ask me, what do I know that other people don't know? I wouldn't say it's something that I know, it's something that I practice. Always take the extra step.
Oh.
Always take the extra step. If somebody asks you to wash their car, wax it too. If somebody asks you to help them with their homework, don't just help them with the homework. Teach them what they don't know that they're not getting so that they can do it themselves the next time. If someone says, I need you to X, Y, Z, don't teach don't just hand them the fish. Teach them how to fish.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, you exactly doing it because I send you multiple different emails, and I was changing the question because I interview more people. I'm trying to improve my video and ask more better questions.
Mm-hmm.
You have every single question here, and you prepare for it. Your extra step, I can see how many time and effort you put in here. It's incredible, I would say.
I'm here to help,
Yes.
and I'm also here to teach.
Then you showed me how to not only show me the fish, but also how to fish.
How to fish. There you go. So what's next?
Next is, what are some special experiences you have and how they benefit you?
Experiences. So life experiences, right? I'll start with growing up. My father and mother taught me and my brother and I at a very young age that we needed to be open to the world. People, you might say, what does that mean?
Be able to listen.
Well, but it's more than just listen.
More than just listen.
It's don't shut down is what they were trying to say. You've heard of the term unconscious bias? You know that term? So someone sees someone and they just automatically assume something about them, right?
Yes.
Okay. When I was little and my brother was little, we grew up in a pretty segregated neighborhood. It was pretty much African Americans all around us, right? And I grew up in that environment. I hardly ever saw anyone of Asian descent. I hardly ever saw anyone of Middle Eastern descent. I hardly ever saw anyone that was different. It was pretty much all African American. So what did that teach me to do? It taught me to only trust people that looked like me and not trust people that didn't look like me. Because I'd see on television, I would see things happening with the police and how they were treating people and this, that, and the other. And it would make me not want to trust them. My father, one day, he was going to play tennis with a friend of his. And his friend was a white man. And his friend brought his kids to go play in the playground with him. And my father took my brother and I with him. And he said, I want you guys to go over there when we got to the park. I want you guys to go over there and play with those kids. And I was like, I'm not going over there and play with those kids. I don't know them. They don't look like us. Why am I going over there? And my dad got out of the car. He walked around to our side of the car. He opened the car door. Now, mind you, I am 12, 13 years old. My brother was, actually, no, probably about 12. My brother was 8, because he's 4 years younger. Pulls me out of the car. He stands me up and he says, "What did you just say?" And I said, "I'm not going to play with them." Bam! He hits me dead square in the chest. Okay? He hits me. Full strength. Bam! He hits me. Down I go on the ground. I can't breathe. My brother's crying because he thinks I'm getting ready to die. Okay? My dad standing there over me and he says, "I don't ever want to hear you say that again. Ever." I realized he was serious. We ended up going over and playing with the kids, but it taught me a lesson. It taught me a very valuable lesson. Be open to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just look at them and assume that you don't want to be around them or they're going to do something bad. Be open to being around other people. And from that day forward, I never, ever, ever had unconscious bias or stereotypical behavior ever in my entire life. If I saw someone that didn't look like me, I made a conscious effort to go over and shake their hand and meet them and talk to them to find out more about them.
Exactly, that's what I like to do as well. Because I realized in the past I have a lot of stereotypes. Judge people by their race, their nationalities, or groups, or where they're from. But it might be convenient and save your time by doing so. But if you don't really talk to that person, get to know that person, there's so much information will be missed, and this guy probably better than you can ever imagine.
That's true, absolutely. So yeah, that taught me a valuable lesson
True.
at a very young age.
And may I ask the next question? What are some difficulties you met, and how did you overcome it?
Difficulties in life. Well, let's see. I lost my brother. Here, I'm the only surviving son of 3. My mom and dad had 3 kids. My sister, who passed before me, before I was born, then me, and then my younger brother, who passed when he was, I was 14, and he was 10. In a car accident, he passed. So I'm the last one. And one thing that I have, in that loss process, I try to, as I said a minute ago, I try to turn that into something positive, something good. So I have cousins, I have friends who have family members, brothers and sisters. And what do I see them doing all the time? Arguing and fighting, arguing and fighting. If you have a brother or a sister, it's always argue and fight, argue and fight. And what I always tell my cousins when I see them, going back and forth, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. Because you could lose them and you'll never have the opportunity again to say, "I'm sorry." Because my brother and I, we used to fight like cats and dogs. He was younger than me, but we would fight all the time. Usually it was because I would pick the fight. But when he passed, I suddenly realized I can't say I'm sorry. I could pray, but I can't say I'm sorry. So when my kids were born, my son is oldest, my daughter's younger, she's 4 years after him. I told my son, at a very young age, you are responsible for her. And he's only 5 years old. I said, no, you're responsible for her. If something bad happens to her, I'm coming after you. What do you mean by that? I said, you heard me. If something happens to your sister, I'm thinking it's going to be your fault because you didn't do your job. Your job is to protect your sister. He took that serious. Through his entire life, he was always there to protect his sister. Always. They would get in a little, argument. Kristen, but I would turn around and everything will settle down. And to this day, my son and my daughter, both of them, when they graduated, they met significant others. They moved to Sacramento. My son lives in Elk Grove, actually. My son lives in Elk Grove. My daughter lives in Elk Grove. They're 10 minutes from each other. and they take care of each other. She has a fiance, and he just got married. But everybody knows Chris and Candace are going to take care of each other. And that's what I wanted. That's what I ingrained into them, simply because of what I experienced by losing my brother. Tough experience when you lose. Do you have siblings?
No, but I can relate to that, and especially there's one question I want to ask about it.
Mm-hmm.
First, I pray for you. No, I really hope you are doing well.
Oh yeah.
And, yeah. So the question I want to ask is, you know, it's like because I do know some people, because they're afraid of losing others, they will not tell their true feelings. They will say, because I care about you, even though you hurt me, but they don't say it. I do agree. We need to show our feeling to others very well, you know, to care because we might lose them. Yeah, we need to have that balance on the right point, that we can express our feeling correctly, and then we will take care of each other and protect each other. It's like a metaphor. Like two animals are in the winter, they're staying here together to warm each other. If they're too close, they get hurt. If they're too cold, they step away and cannot live through the winter.
Yeah. That's funny. I never thought about it that way.
Sure. Thank you. And so let's wrap it up with the final question.
You don't want to ask any of those?
Oh, sure. Yeah, you must prepare a lot for this.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Just pick one. Just pick one, and or I could answer that one there if you want me to.
Sure. What project or books and company you published or you're working on? Is there any help or support you are looking for?
Only project. Let's see. I don't spend a lot of time reading. I collect books, but I don't spend a lot of time reading them. It's primarily because they're books that friends of mine have written, and I have like quite a collection of those. But what I do is I share the books that I have read. Getting to Yes, which is a book on how to negotiate to a win-win solution. Financial literacy, on a book on how to keep yourself financially solvent, and a number of others that I have read when I was in college mostly, and I share with students and others now. Now, the project that I'm working on is all about mentoring. It's all about helping students get to where they want to go in their career goals. And the only help that I would say I need from anyone is just allowing me to do the right things that I can, the things that I can do. Put me in a place where I can help someone. Give me the opportunity. Steve Kim, who was, you know Steve.
Yes, the CGU alumni
President. Steve gave me an opportunity. So, back to the story of Michael Millar, Dr. Michael Millar. Michael Millar and I met at Cal Poly. He was doing a project called the Lennon Bus, the Lennon Bus Project. John Lennon and his foundation they created this music bus that they would take to high schools and let the students get to understand the fundamentals of music and how it applies to math and subjects and that sort of stuff. And he knew that I'm a musician. I play the drums. And he said, hey, I'd like you to come to Pomona High when I'm going to have the Lennon Bus there. I said, okay. I went and we started talking, and we became very good friends. So we started going to lunch. And one day at lunch, he says, Clark, he says, Claremont needs some help. Their alumni group is, they're doing things, but they're not getting to where they want to be. I said, well, invite me to the next event so I could come. And he did, and I went to the event. It was about a year and a half ago. I went to the event. I met some students, and I saw what he was saying. I understood that they could use some help, somebody like me who could get in and help work with students. And so the next thing I knew, I met Steve Kim. And Steve said, hey, yeah, we would like to invite you to be part of our board. I said, okay. Became part of the board. That first question they asked me, what do you want to do? What's your focus that you want to focus on? And I said, helping students, because that's what I do. And he gave me that opportunity.
Yeah. You're not only do your job, but you appreciate for people to give you opportunity to help others.
Yes.
Exactly. I'm the same person because in the past I was trying to help out people all the time, but sometimes I got really people don't understand me. They say, "Why are you helping me?" It's like you must have something intention. That
Ulterior motives. Yeah, not good. Yeah. I know exactly what you're saying.
Like you must have some desire for other stuff
Yes.
that benefit you.
Yes.
Or you will not help me at all.
Yes. And that's sad. You know why? It shows that humankind is so untrusting. I shouldn't say humankind. Some people, not all humans that way, but some people are so untrusting that they can't trust someone to want to help them and not want something in return. That's sad.
But then I realized it because in the past they have never seen some people like this.
This is true.
It's probably first or second time. And then I realized it, and by recording this video,
Mm-hmm.
I believe we can let more people see there is this kind of people exist in this world,
Totally agree.
and we can make this world much better.
Totally agree. I'm not making any money doing what I'm doing right now. I'm retired. I don't need to make any money. You know what I need? To see you be successful. That's what I need.
Really appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely. You're awesome. So,
You want me to answer this question?
could you tell me more, like,
Oh, go ahead.
what are your advice to 7 college students?
Advice? Well, yeah, so on these charts that I gave you, things like engage, in the school and engage with professionals, learn what they do, and this is going to help. Learn what they do, learn how they do what they do. How did they become so good at what they're doing? You asked me, I think the other day, how did I become a good speaker?
Mm-hmm.
And my answer to you is, let's see. I did it when I was I spoke a lot when I was at Boeing. I spoke a lot when I was at Northrop Grumman because I had to give presentations. And then as I began speaking, I started realizing the fundamentals of being a successful speaker. Do you know what the fundamentals are?
Fundamental?
There's two.
Oh,
There's two fundamentals of being a good speaker. You ready for this?
sure.
Know your audience and know your material. If you know your audience and you know who you're going to be talking to, then you can push the buttons that they want to hear, that they need to hear. You can ask the questions and get the feedback that they're looking for. So they will stay engaged in what you're saying. And if you know your material, whatever you're presenting, whatever you're talking about, then you don't have to continue looking at the slides. You can then talk to the bullet points on the slides, but you can talk to it from a very compassionate manner. You can engage with your audience and not be worried about what's on the slide. That's behind you. So know your audience, know your material. Those two things will make you a successful speaker.
Know your audience and know your material.
That's it. It's that simple.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Okay.
There's a question from my previous speaker. It's Professor Jeremy Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
How did you relate to your own fear?
Mm.
How did you learn to how did you learn to move past it?
Mm-hmm.
And how did you build the support system that created for yourself to navigate the world?
So the fear question, I gotta say, I don't know if I've ever been fearful of like life. My father kind of taught me not to be fearful of things in life.
That's really precious and hard.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people, they have fear in their mind.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot do this, I will fail, so I don't start.
My father wouldn't let me do that.
Hmm.
He always taught us to seek and understand. You know, don't be, well, okay, here you go. Before I got punched in the chest when I was little, I was afraid of people.
True.
Once I got punched in the chest, I wasn't afraid anymore. And that not being afraid impacted every avenue, every area of my life. I took it head on, without being afraid. I could go in a meeting with vice presidents in my company, and I would not be afraid to speak my mind, to let them know what I knew or what I thought was the right thing to do.
I think that's the power within you.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know you're doing the right thing
Yes.
and you're helping others. So you're not afraid to talk to anyone, higher position or way much better than you, because you are doing something benefit both you and them, and this is the right thing to do.
I had a boss one time. He was vice president of our division. He was my boss's boss, actually, and he said, I don't know why people are. And this was a candid conversation that he and I was having, just like I'm having with you. And he said, I don't know why people fear me. He said, I put my pants on one leg at a time, just like everybody else. And when he said that, I realized, yeah, that's true.
That's your moment that you realize.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, no fear. I didn't have to do anything to get past it. My wife would probably tell you that I've always been the kind of guy that I have to keep things going. I can't just sit and watch TV. In fact, I hate watching TV because there's just so much junk on TV. I stay busy, and doing the stuff that I'm doing keeps me busy. And so, I don't know if that's answering the question that I was asked.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
And let me tell you, I had this moment as well. When I was at the military school, we were gonna follow the chain of command and the hierarchies. And there's one time, the superintendent comes and talks to me, and he wants to know more about how I manage my troop and get more information from me. And I was so scared because I think he's a much higher level than me.
Yeah.
So I'm being really super respectful to him, and I'm staying away from him, and I'm not saying the true feeling. And he looks weird and looks at me really weird, and he's like, okay, he walk away. And then I realized all he wants is to approach me in a friendly way and ask him how I the real feeling, and I can give the right feedback to him. Why I'm just so afraid of him? Because the level of hierarchy created a barrier in my mind that we are different, and I need to be really, really careful with him. And then I realized, okay, when I got the run at the right time to do it, if I can do these things benefit both of us, and this is the right thing, I'm not afraid to do it anymore.
Good.
That's the moment I had.
Good. That's good. That's a good lesson to learn. It's hard because in the military there is that hierarchy, so I can understand that. But yeah,
It's happened to you like in the companies as well.
Yeah.
Just maybe a little lesser, but it's similar.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So you asked me to write a question for
The next speaker.
the next speaker,
Yes.
and here's my question.
Okay.
You want to write it down?
Sure.
Oh, you got that? So my question for the next speaker: do you like what you are doing, and why? And the part B of that question: do you like what you're doing and why? And part B of that question, let me know when you're ready.
Sure. Right.
Is it fueling your passion?
Is it feeling your passion?
Is it fueling
fueling?
Is it
Is
fueling
it fueling
your
your
passion?
Thank you very much.
I want to leave this with you. I want you to have that. I want to say thank you. Good talking to you.
I learned so much from you.
Hey, I'm learning a lot from you too. I'll keep that. I'm gonna let you have that.